Welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode, Pound Box Report, episode 188. I am your host, Michael. Joining me this week, Daniel from the Inscriber. What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? Glad to be back.
Indeed. Again, spoke on this last week, and I want to say now, while you're here, sincerest condolences and best wishes to you. The loss of your father. The reason for those who don't know why Daniel wasn't on the show last week. So listen, again, to you while you're here, best wishes and condolences to you and your family.
Like I said, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
Indeed. For those who are new to Pound for Pound Box Report, Pound for Pound Box Report, live YouTube show, podcast, blog that discusses all things boxing. The motto is when boxing is good, we'll talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. Bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find out more, all the information regarding Pound for Pound Box Report, blog place, blog page is the place to go to. The link for that is p4pboxreport.wordpress.com. You check the right of the blog page, you'll find links to our pages and channels on G Plus, YouTube, G Plus, Tumblr, as well as links to where to listen to the show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, as well as Mixcloud. It's going to be a short show this evening because we only have two guests so far, both from Truth and Facts. He may join us later on. I'm not sure. But let's get things started, recapping what went down last week. Highlight fight, of course, is Anthony Joshua's a 10-round stoppage win over Carlos Takam in Wales. The fight itself, in my opinion, yeah, Joshua he didn't look great, but he didn't look bad either. Takam showed his toughness throughout. Uh, was knocked down in round four by Joshua, but Takam he stuck through. Um, a lot of people felt that the stoppage at the time was a quick stoppage. I tend to agree with, I can understand. I'll say this: I can understand why people would argue that the fight should not have been stopped. In fact, Takam he wasn't that hurt. Uh, um, he was throwing back. He was still showing defense. He was avoiding punches. And given he had went that long and suffered damage then, has two cuts over his eyes, I can still see why people want to say let him go through. Or the other side of that is let Joshua get a definitive stoppage win. But I'm not going to be that upset about it. It is what it is. Joshua was winning throughout. Takam had his moments here and there, particularly I think in round seven, which he landed some shots. But at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua was pretty dominant throughout, and he got the win. The concern for me is that Joshua, who came in at a career high 254, um, he looked a little slow to me. The punches were not as fluid. At times, he seemed to be gasping a little bit for breath. One of my concerns about Joshua early on in his career was the fact that he's really muscular, built very much like a football player, and the fact that he came in his weight so high for this bout. Um, let's pause to pause here. As to me, my worry is okay. He looks to be in tremendous shape, but fighters packing on the amount of muscle that Anthony Joshua was packing on, that's not a good thing. Also, from a technical standpoint, I didn't like the hands position at times. He seemed available for body shots throughout the fight. It's just that Takam would let the body shots go. So, but he got the win, and as much as the fight itself is the news development after the fights, that was really the talk. I'll go to you, Daniel. Unmute your mic. I heard some background noise, so I had to mute you, but unmute your mic now and discuss what your observation of Joshua's win over Takam.
It's expected at the same time concerning. Now, like I said, I didn't catch the fight live. I was obviously in another country, but I was able to catch the replay on Showtime Monday night when I got back in. It was supposed to be a little bit more fluid for Joshua, but this is the key thing, people have to remember, the key thing about late opponent replacements, sometimes they're the livest dogs that you're going to get. And Takam showed that. He showed toughness, he showed a little bit of versatility, and he showed the bits and pieces that made him a tough fight with Joseph Parker. That can make him a very tough fight with Dillian Whyte. Might give Deontay Wilder a good run for his money. But at the end of the day, it's a combination of the cuts. They're at the position where they are, right over his eyes. So you knew they could get worse before they get better. And ultimately, just the fact that you knew he was not going to win that fight. Even if it won the distance, he wouldn't win that fight. But the stoppage does irk me a bit. Because Takam earned the right to at least finish the round. Because, okay, he got hit with one right hand. That's when the referee pretty much assumed the signal that he should stop the fight. But if you notice, Joshua threw like 4 or 5 more punches after that and missed every one of them. So if anything, Takam was showing he was having good defense after the fight. After that punch. Now, like I said, I'm not going to cry home cooking like a lot of people have, or that Joshua's being protected from like the knockout streak. Like, at the end of the day, Takam was not going to win that fight. I'm sorry. But it's one of these things where your stock gets elevated in a loss. His stock is definitely not going to be elevated in a loss. Where you took Anthony Joshua to 10 rounds in a fight where most people expected you to only last 3. So that's a big, big, big accomplishment to Takam. Now, the things that concern me about Joshua are some of the things that you pointed out. He came in at his heaviest, which some people are trying to say, oh, he didn't train that well. He didn't took this camp seriously. But it's a concern that I've had with Joshua for a while when it comes to his frame. He's built like a football player. But at the same time, he's more built like a football player you create on Madden. Or the guys that you see like in California, Muscle Beach and Venice. And unfortunately, one of the running jokes on those guys, all they do is lift. They don't do cardio. What happens when you don't do cardio? You get tired very, very easily. And you can tell around like the 7th, 8th round, Joshua was starting to gasp a little bit. And that's concerning. Because if a guy like Takam is able to take you and tire you, yeah, if you put a Tyson Fury, if you put a Deontay Wilder next to Joshua, Luis Ortiz after all the mess that's going to go through, it's concerning. It's no longer just, oh, Joshua's going to blitz through you. It's, okay, if you can take Joshua to this point and catch him, you are susceptible. You just have to follow a little bit more of the Klitschko formula minus the holding. But the big news, obviously, is Eddie Hearn pretty much calling out Deontay Wilder, pretty much calling out Tyson Fury. Like I said, the big fight in the UK is obviously Joshua Fury. First things first, we have to see if Fury can get down below the weight of an NFL lineman. And we have to see if he doesn't screw anything else up. Because that'll be the fight to see in the UK in 2018. And, well, we'll talk about it a little bit with the Dillian Whyte thing. But then after that, it should be Deontay Wilder. Or just jump in straight to it. Just fight Deontay Wilder or fight Joseph Parker. You try to get all the belts. If Joshua's declaring 2018 is about the belts, He should make it about the belts.
Yeah, let's get into that right quick before we move on to other fights. In the lead up, there was an interview with Joshua in which he was asked about Deontay Wilder, and a lot of people, based on that, a little bit skeptical of Joshua because they felt that there wasn't a sense of urgency from him and his people in terms of clamoring for a fight with Deontay Wilder. Same question was posed to him after the fight. Uh, we had similar feelings. He said those. He said that those fights will happen in 2018 with Wilder, but again, to some, um, seem to be a feeling that there's no real want. And then in the following days, you had the news that, according to Tyson Fury, he either is getting a license or has been granted a license by the British Boxing Board, uh, which a lot of people, which leads a lot of people to speculate that before we will see a Wilder fight with Joshua, we may well see a Fury fight with Joshua. Joseph Parker, who is the WBO champion, according to his promoters, they received an offer for a unification bout with Joshua, um, and they felt so disrespected. They turned down the offer. They thought it was very it belittled them in terms of the actual money they were offered, something like was it 10-20% of the purse, and they felt that no, don't insult us like that. So um, you hear Wilder, you hear Fury, you hear Joseph Parker. Moving forward in 2018, where do you see Anthony Joshua going?
Ideally, those fights. Ideally, those fights, because like I said, first
And he also and
the
Wilder,
Tyson.
I was going to say, and Joshua also discussed that within the context of talking about a fight with Wilder, that they're mandatories that he feels he's obligated to. That essentially he worked so hard to get the belt that he just doesn't want to lose them so quickly. So putting all that into account here, I'll just ask the question again. Given that Fury, Wilder, Parker, what he seems to be, what he seems intent on obligating his mandatories. Where do you see him going?
Well, if in case nobody has heard, I said a little bit of breaking news a couple of weeks ago. Anthony Joshua, as of that Saturday, no longer has the mandatories because the WBA decided to honor the VADA test that the WBC did for Luis Ortiz. So Luis Ortiz has been stripped of the mandatory position for the WBA. So as of right now, Anthony Joshua has no mandatory. He has no obligation at the moment. So that's what ideally, those were the fights that we go to. Now, the Joseph Parker thing, I think Eddie Hearn should know better. Eddie Hearn should know better that you're not just dealing with Duco events. You're dealing now with Bob Arum. You're dealing now with Top Rank. And Bob Arum is not going to let you cheapskate him on a heavyweight fight. So that's number one. The Fury fight, to me, if you're going to do the Fury fight first, what you're telling to me is that you're giving up already the first half of the year. Because like I said, and I've said it on all your shows for a while, Tyson Fury, every time I see him, he just keeps getting fatter. And even when he says he's working out, he still keeps getting fatter. So he has to first down lose the weight that he gained to get into fighting shape, let alone train to be a fighter, to get the fight. So that should not be out. So that should be pushed aside. Deontay Wilder is the one that people are lynching into because I can mention, I think the last time that I was on, Anthony Joshua speaks the way a politician speaks about certain things. He's going to give you an answer that's ambiguous, but that leads you to hope in a certain direction. At the same time, you can't have Eddie Hearn yell out, AJ's going to knock out Deontay in 3 rounds. You can't do that. Because, yes, you're Anthony Joshua. You're big. You're very popular right now in the UK. But in the end, who makes the decisions? Right now, it's Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn is making it sound like Deontay Wilder's easy work. When maybe Joshua's team is looking at Wilder and saying, this guy may match me a little bit in height. He's lighter than me, but he's more athletic than me. But the one thing we know is he has a sleeper. And one thing that we do know is he does have trainers that, even though we haven't seen it since the Stiverne fight this much, that do give him a good technical base. So, ideally, those fights, realistically, it would not surprise me at all. At all. If somehow, some way we wind up with a rematch with Dillian Whyte. Because Dillian has been in the winning streak, no matter how tedious, boring, or controversial. He's been in the winning streak. A fight where you don't have to move Joshua out of the UK. I think Eddie Hearn's goal is to try to keep him in the UK. Don't put him into foreign territory. Where if he fights Joseph Parker, there's no worry about that. Joseph Parker already proven that he will come to the UK. Deontay Wilder has already proven he will come to the UK. Financially, it makes sense. As far as recognition, though, you're still kind of forced to come to the US. So that means you still have to come to either Barclays, MSG, the MGM Grand, the T-Mobile Arena, or if they really, really want to do like a fan-friendly event, StubHub, for a heavyweight fight. We know Deontay has fought in StubHub before, so why not?
Okay. You mentioned within your commentary, Dillian Whyte. Well, he fought on the undercard of Joshua Takam. Fought Robert Helenius. Okay, he got the win, but just like Parker and Takam, his performance was Um, threw too many wild punches for Mike Tyson. He seemed like he was going for the knockout early and didn't have an alternative a plan B, excuse me. Um, Make the fight a little bit harder than he should have. Helena's landed some decent shots in there. He got the win, White, but I wasn't greatly impressed. And based on what I saw, uh, I hear folks. I suggested last week that White could fight Deontay Wilder in 2018. UK, US, doesn't matter. But based on what I saw, based on the way he performed, I should say, um, should that fight happen, I don't see White giving Deontay Wilder much problems.
Nope. And that's the tricky part. Eddie Hearn has been pretty keen on offering Dillian Whyte to Deontay Wilder. And here's where the mess and the politics more come in. Deontay Wilder and various people have stated that every time that Eddie Hearn offers Dillian Whyte over to Deontay Wilder, Wilder's team insists, okay, but you have to put in the contract then, next fight is Anthony Joshua, and that's where Eddie Hearn balks. What does that tell you? It kind of tells you that there's not much confidence that Eddie Hearn has in Dillian Whyte in beating Deontay Wilder to me.
Right.
And also another thing, it's true. Dillian Whyte does throw a lot of wild punches. It's his style. But at the end of the day, it works well against domestic or European level competition, which is what Helenius was. It probably is not going to work at a world level. Because unfortunately, it doesn't even work at the European level in some sense. I'm one of the people that still says he lost to Derek Chisora. But at the end of the day, like if you're gonna put him up against the champions, he might have a decent shot against Parker because Parker is obviously the weaker of the bunch. But then again, a fighter who throws as wild as Dillian Whyte does, maybe the perfect fighter for a guy like Parker who likes to go to the body a lot. Maybe that's a fighter that goes and shows how dynamic he is and makes people remember why he was such a highly touted prospect. Like I said, with Deontay, I'm sorry, you can't. At this moment, with the way he fought against Helenius, I know people like to dog on Wilder. I know people like to say, like, oh, he throws windmill punches. Go watch the first fight with Stiverne.
Right.
Hell, you might see a replay on that on Saturday, but go watch the first fight with Stiverne. That's the potential of a Deontay Wilder. A guy who measures distance, who knows how to use the jab, who can land his right hand flush through the guard.
And Dillian Whyte has a bad habit of attacking square.
Yep.
And
like Stiverne.
That doesn't work with a guy who throws a straight right hand like Deontay Wilder does up the middle with power. He can throw it straight or wide, but particularly when he throws the straight right hand, blinding you with the jab, I just see that spelling trouble for a Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, because the whole thing is he depends too much on catch and shoot. And shout out to What You Need. He just joined us. That's the whole thing. Dillian Whyte's game is he needs to catch you with wild punches. He needs to catch you on the catch and shoot. Wilder's proven that he'll hit you, and he's quick enough to avoid the catch and shoot because he's avoided plenty of them from Stiverne. So I would not put him there right now, but he won a silver title from the WBC, so he's in the discussion. He's forced himself into the discussion. Whether or not Eddie Hearn can make him the discussion is another question, because obviously we know the real fight Dillian Whyte wants. We know he wants to rematch with Joshua because he remembers that second round where he hit him hard to the body and Joshua looked like literally half his lung was coming out. Obviously, Joshua recovered. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the fight Dillian Whyte wants. But if we believe Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, champions get to the front of the line first.
Yeah. As you noted, What You Need has joined us on the show. I'm giving him an opportunity to talk to him so I can get his opinion. He can catch up. Earlier we talked Joshua, his stoppage winner with Takam and what could be up for him given the developments with Tyson Fury. We just finished talking Dillian Whyte. Give you an opportunity to give your opinion on both of those fights. What You Need. Unmute your mic.
Well, good night, everybody. First of all, Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam or Takam. It was a good fight. The thing I thought though was Anthony Joshua was headhunting a lot until he went to, I think it was round 7 or round 8 when he started going to the body. That was really beautiful body work. As I said in a video before, I thought that both Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte, they didn't really make use of feinting. There was a lot of the way how Dillian Whyte was kind of repetitive. The nice thing I liked about Dillian Whyte, he kept on walking down Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius actually was beaten by a guy that Deontay Wilder beat and stopped for the first time in his career, which was the Frenchman.
Duapas.
Duapas, that's right. What was his first name again?
Uh
Johan.
yeah,
Right.
Johan. I can't pronounce his name correctly.
I forgot it. Yeah, Johan Duapas. So Johan Duapas, he's a tough dude, man. He can take a punch. But so when Dillian Whyte got hit by Helenius, I think he hit him at a two-piece, he hit him with a left hook followed by a right cross. I think it was in the first or second round. I think he stunned him a little bit. And he kept coming. He put the pressure on Robert Helenius. But Helenius, what people don't understand is Helenius he's a good boxer. He's a very, very good boxer. I appreciated him before that. I used to watch him, and I think I did him on one of the boxers not really talked much about in the heavyweight division. And so Helenius, he would give these different types of angles, and he would move a certain kind of way, which is why Dillian Whyte realized, he got a little wiser. He started to box him. He started to bob and weave a little bit better. And the one thing I appreciated about Dillian Whyte, he keeps on telegraphing and loading up with the headshots, but he would be kind of crafty in how he went to the body. So I liked his body work. I really did. And of course, he doesn't really have he doesn't have one punch knockout power. He's not really a powerful heavyweight like that, you know. So he kept on loading up on certain shots where he should have just let it flow. And the more he started to relax was the better he actually fought. Every time he tried to load up on a shot and put a lot of power into a shot, he really was ineffective. So that's something Canelo does as well. Sometimes he's very explosive, but he tries to put too much power into a shot where you're supposed to just let the shot come. And then your timing and everything gets the appropriate way, because you actually slow down a shot by trying to load up too much on it. Golovkin, Mayweather, and some other fighters, Andre Ward, these guys, they don't load up on their shots. They just let the shot go. Anytime you try to put too much power behind a shot, you telegraph it, whether you believe, because you're going to, right. So Helenius was actually throwing some really nice punches. Then he started getting hit with body punches much more regularly. And the other thing, psychologically, he felt the pressure that Whyte was bringing to him. And so he literally did the same thing that he did to Duapas. He started to disengage from the fight. And so Whyte was able to work the body, which I really appreciated what he did. With Anthony Joshua, he wasn't doing enough body work. The kid, Takam, he had a nice kind of slick style, somewhat slick, and he was pretty tough. But once you start going to the body, 7th round was a different kind of round. With Joshua, with the last 30 seconds, he started going to the body. I think in the 8th round, too, he started going to the body the last 30 seconds as well. I thought the stoppage was ridiculously premature. I thought the referee was doing a horrible job intervening in this fight. He would stop the fight for various reasons, which really annoyed me. But by and large, once Anthony Joshua started going to the body, I thought he did some really good body work. Really good body work. I mean, the guy is short that he was facing, but when he set it up, because what he would do is he would throw shots to the head. He would throw his jab followed by the right cross, the typical jab, right cross, the typical 1-2. He would set it up top, and then he would just jab to the body, and then he would start to throw a right hook to the spleen area, to the body. He tried to throw in uppercuts. The uppercuts wouldn't work because the guy's too short. But when it comes to, the body work he was putting in there, I think if he had gone to the body more, he would have stopped that kid a long time ago. He'd have stopped Takam a long time ago, but he didn't. And I don't know what's wrong with these heavyweights. Joshua's a very agile, he's very athletic, but what is up with all the head hunting and loading up on shots? There's a lot of loading up on shots. These guys, after the guy headbutt him in I think it was round 2 as well, when he headbutt him and damaged his nose, he just started loading up on this guy and trying to go to his head all the time. I didn't get it. I didn't understand that part, but anytime he started doing the body work, kind of settled down, set him up for the body shots, it worked for him. So
Early, I expressed concern over Joshua's weight and his physical appearance. Not that he was out of shape or anything, but coming in at a career high weight and the fact that he is so muscular, has such a muscular frame, I worry about his long term conditioning and cardio specific. Your thoughts on
I
that
didn't think
quickly?
he didn't look like he was slowing down anytime soon. I think his conditioning is pretty on point. I thought he was pretty crisp throughout the fight. I also thought that he executed pretty good. It's just I didn't like his head hunting. I think he paced himself well as well in the fight. I didn't like that the referee stopped the fight when he did though. I thought that was ridiculous. The guy was live, he was active, and he was even throwing back. So I didn't understand it. But as to Joshua, no, I think he could have gone all 12 if he had to. The guy has pretty good conditioning. And he actually fought pretty smart. I liked how he fought on the back foot sometimes. Sometimes he fought on the inside. Sometimes he fought on the outside. I thought it was good. It's just I didn't understand all that's loading up on shots. What are you doing? Like, that's unnecessary energy you're expending. You know what I mean? Smart boxing says take your time, and throw shots with purpose. And sometimes he wasn't throwing shots with purpose. He was just throwing because he was angry or whatever. And he's trying to take the guy's head off, which I didn't understand that. That was some immaturity on his part. So that's what I didn't like.
I don't know. In comparing Joshua in this fight to fights in the past, I just thought he looked a shade slow from hand speed perspective, and overall body movement.
But the guy's
But maybe
smaller. The guy's significantly smaller than him. The guy's a little bit quicker than him. I thought he did okay. I thought he did okay compared to this guy. He's a little bit tricky. He moves his upper body pretty good and stuff. He's not the best in the world, but he know how to survive in that ring. Helenius knew how to do his thing as well and survive in the ring. Get those angles on the guy, take off, catch the punches. Roll the kind of the angle at which Helenius is positioned. Unless Helenius is attacking you, you really can't. You can't get the opportunity to knock him out, So, it's not easy to just knock out a fighter. Dupas did it because Helenius was actually attacking him when he got caught, and he went down.
Yeah, I duly noted, but it's just some fluidity issues that I just see that I'm a little bit concerned about. Let's move on. If anybody,
I just want to say though, I don't think he's ready for Wilder. He's not ready for Wilder. I mean, he did fight Klitschko and all of that, but Wilder's a different beast, man. Wilder's he's different, man. He's got the agility, but he's also got a very, very sharp, crisp jab, and he jabs on the pivot. I haven't seen Joshua jab on the pivot. I haven't seen Joshua. I mean, Wilder does headhunt a lot more, but he does do body shots sometimes. But I've seen Wilder do some other things with the high guard that Joshua does do it with the high guard, but not the same way like how Wilder does it with the angles that Wilder uses. And I like Wilder's swivel as well, how he swivels his body, swivels his head. He does kind of use his athleticism to jump on you, but still, he has some interesting things. He does get caught in the swivel, but I'm just saying he's applying certain boxing things that tell me, the old school boxing way. I just don't see it in Joshua. And Joshua's not as quick as Wilder either. He's not as sharp and he's not as quick as him. So, and he's not as explosive either. So it's I don't think he's ready for Wilder yet, but it'd be nice to see them fight. I just don't think he's ready for him.
Let's move on. For anybody who saw the Kaylee Taylor fight, her title fight win over, and the girl's name escapes me, Sanchez, Esther Sanchez, or anybody who saw the Yafai fight over Ishida. For anyone who saw their fights, quick commentary on those bouts, please.
I did miss that one. I did miss that one, but it's good how they fast tracked her to a title. Because obviously when it comes to the popularity, Clarissa Shields already like sidestepped her a little bit by winning 2 belts. And we already know the big fight for her is Christian Hammer. And we know those two want to fight. So it's good for Katie Taylor to do it and get it in there. Now, they're only one weight division apart. Can we get Taylor Nicola Adams anytime soon?
I have to see more of Nicola Adams fight. She waited before she turned professional. I want to see some more bouts of her. See her developing a little more development, before I entertain a contest with Taylor. Would be a good fight. Big fight in the UK. Big fight for women's boxing. Could make some sizable money, but I want each lady to be at their best when they get in the ring. And I don't think Adams, just starting out the gate, I don't think she's close to her best yet in order to fully capitalize financially about with Katie Taylor. Let's move on to some news here. We did a live show, Daniel, live post-fight show early in the morning following Luis Nery's stoppage win over Shinzuki Yamanaka to win the WBC Bantamweight belt earlier this summer. And I see Bo from Truth and Facts has joined us. Bo was with us on that live show, morning live show. Subsequently, Luis Nery tested positive for a banned substance. A lot of back and forth about whether he will be stripped of the title, whether the title will go back to Yamanaka. Well, over the past couple of days, the WBC has handed down its ruling, and Nery, they decided to not strip Nery of the belt, but on the conditions that they mandate he fights a rematch with Shinzuki Yamanaka. Since you just joined us, Bo, I'm gonna go start this conversation off with you. Your reaction to the WBC deciding not to strip Luis Nery of the belt, but they are ordering him to fight a rematch with Shinzuki Yamanaka.
Oh man, Mike, let me tell you, I don't know because this was the WBC, correct?
Yes.
Now, when the same thing happened to one Luis Ortiz for the same reason, eating some kind of meat, it wasn't so kind to him. They suspended him. They got rid of him for a year. But then again, didn't the WBC do the same thing for Jesse Vargas?
Francisco Vargas.
My bad, Francisco Vargas. Didn't they do the same thing to him?
Yeah, and no, the first suspension, Bo, for Luis Ortiz was WBA, not WBC.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I'm just showing how the same reason why he popped is the same reason why Ortiz did, was for the meat. But I do believe they did the same thing with Francisco Vargas, the WBC did, right? And matter of fact, I think they still let him fight, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay, he's never popped before. That particular area, and I'm going to put my feelings aside because, as you all know, I am very, very angry and upset with one particular WB organization.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later. So
okay, all right. Well, I'm going to tell y'all right now. Excuse my language because I don't refer to him as the WBA. I refer to him as something else. But yeah, that particular area that he ate at has been documented as a particular area that has that type of issue. So, okay, if they, if they're being fair and they're being consistent, and when it happened to Francisco Vargas, you did the same thing for him, okay, and then you're doing the same thing for Luis Nery. He's never popped before, so you're going to give him a second chance to see what happens. I can't be too upset with it, but I still kind of raise my eyebrow only because you have a program, and supposedly, according to your program, if someone pops, there's certain rules in place that you follow. So it kind of it just makes me wonder, like, why this fight? Why now? But again, like I said, he's never popped before. This is what they want to do. Let's hope Luis Nery does not pop a second time going into this fight. Let's hope that, because if he pops a second time, well, you can't use the same excuse twice. So stay away from that area. Stay wherever you need to stay here in the U.S. or whatever it is, because I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm not even gonna pick Yamanaka in the rematch, because regardless of whether you want to tell me the steroids or not, the fact that you were brutally knocked out the way you was knocked out and ran over, that's going to be in Yamanaka's mind. And if it gets a little rough, I think he might fold. I truly think he might fold, because he was ready to retire. He only has the belt back because of this situation. So if you pressure him again, he's 34 years old. He's on the way out. He could possibly fold.
I'll go to you. I'll go to you. What you need? Have you been keeping tabs, paying any kind of attention on the situation regarding Luis Nery? And if you have, your thoughts on the WBC's ruling earlier a couple of days ago.
I have not, so no.
Well, given what Bo and I just discussed, any kind of reaction?
I prefer not to, because I don't know the details of it.
Okay.
If somebody's turns out to be dirty, that's a different story, but I'm not too sure. I don't know what's really going on with that.
Fair enough. I'll go to you, Daniel. Your thoughts.
Okay, I remember the complete ruling for the WBC. This is what they're going to be doing. And Bo actually is probably going to be happy with one of the things they're going to be doing, because this should have been done a long time ago. First thing is, okay, yeah, they're not stripping him of the belt. But yes, you're mandating the rematch. You listed out the fact that they tested him 3 times, again, in Japan. So that was one of the issues. So what they're mandating now is, okay, you have to fight. You have to fight Yamanaka again, 1. 2, the WBC and VADA are both going to monitor your diet and obviously do more random testing. And this is the part that I think that said Bo, and I think a lot of people in boxing are going to like. The WBC are now pretty much asking both VADA and the organization whose protocols they follow, WADA, to finally get clear protocols when it comes to these 2 substances. One of them, like I said, most famous known is clenbuterol, because we know what clenbuterol can be used for if a human ingests it intentionally. But we also know, unfortunately, there are certain parts in the world, mainly also in Latin America, that this is still being used in the beef industry. Even though like Mexico banned clenbuterol, is still being used, I think, in 25%. As famously noted throughout the program, it's gotten to the point where the NFL Players Association and the NFL itself has had to warn players vacationing in Mexico, don't eat the meat, because there's a probable chance you might get clenbuterol and you'll pop for a test that you're not supposed to. So finally, I think, luckily, the WBC is trying to tell VADA and WADA, look, you have to make a clear protocol on this. We don't know if it's going to be like this certain amount. If you can tell if it was ingested and injected, but we have to figure out a proper way, because it keeps looking, particularly when it's the Mexican belt and involving 2 Mexican fighters in Francisco Vargas and now Luis Nery, that it almost looks like, oh, they're giving a break to their countrymen. And it looks like Mauricio Suleiman doesn't want to have that conflict. So I'm glad that they're doing this. Now, I agree with Bo. I'm not giving Yamanaka a chance in the rematch. Because okay, you tested 3 times in Japan. Everything came out clean. So you were clean going to Japan. And you gave that beating to Shinsuke Yamanaka. Luis Nery might just be so mad about this whole situation, he might give an even worse beating
Yeah.
to Yamanaka. So, I'm not picking Yamanaka under any circumstance right now in a rematch. But at least to me, the WBC is trying to tell VADA and the organization that VADA follows the protocols of when it comes to banned substances. Get your shit together when it comes to this. You have to get your shit together when it comes to this, because if you don't, we're going to be stuck in this gray area, and we're going to be looked like, oh, we're just a Mexican organization that's going to make excuses for Mexican fighters.
They do. They do. They do. They do. Párate hablando como es posible todas las personas aquí son estúpidos. Tú sabes, es no derecho, especialmente con los diferentes gobiernos de organización de la Beltos. You know this, Daniel.
And so Bo is basically saying they do make a difference, especially in light of the differences between when it comes to Cuban fighters.
We're gonna get into that whole WBA mess in a little bit, because I'm kind of pissed about what they're doing too.
Because as Gail often said, and as she's taught us before here on Pound for Pound, if you into the box, if you're a serious boxing fan, if you don't know a little bit of Spanish, you ain't shit. But so I understood a lot of what Bo was saying.
and I see we just let anybody in Pound for Pound now. Adrien is here.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody in Pound for Pound now, right?
I was just walking down the street.
Oh, damn.
Decided to step in the door. That's it.
She kicked down the door.
Yeah,
she heard y'all. She heard us.
Let anybody in. She walked in the house, connected to the Wi-Fi on the phone, and hit join Pound for Pound. We just let anybody in here, man.
She heard us.
I'm just surprised y'all on speaking terms after you basically called her old when she was on your show, Bo.
Hold on, wait a minute, Mike.
No, he's done it.
Yeah, black folks always got to bring up old shit. You black boy.
He just did it. That's
I'll go to you, Adrien. I want your comments on this as well, Bo. Earlier we talked Anthony Joshua and Takam, as well as the developments afterwards with Fury and who could Anthony Joshua fight next. I want to focus on that situation specifically. I'll go to you, Adrien.
That fight was stopped too early. That's it. Bottom line. That fight should not have been stopped when it was.
And your thoughts on what could be up next for Anthony Joshua, given the situation with Wilder, Fury. It looks like he's been, at least he says he's either going to be or about to be granted a license to fight again. You got Parker's situation where Parker's team was made an offer for a unification bout by Hearn, and they felt so disrespected that they turned the offer down. Your thoughts on all of that?
Really?
In the future of Anthony Joshua.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Immediately when the referee stopped that fight, I said he stopped that too quick. He shouldn't have stopped that fight when he did. At least I'm just giving my opinion. I thought that, Takam could have kept going. He really could have continued to fight. I don't know why the ref stepped in there, and then again, maybe I do. But I thought it was a good fight while it was going on. Although Anthony Joshua was doing most of the was scoring, but the bottom line is, I didn't understand why the referee stopped the fight. That was very disappointing. And I'm sorry, Michael. What was your other question?
The future of Anthony Joshua, given the situation with Tyson Fury and the Parker deal, the offer they made to Parker. You got Deontay Wilder out there still. Your thoughts? What's next for Anthony Joshua?
I think Anthony Joshua should fight Deontay Wilder. I don't understand why there would be any type of holdup for that, because they've been talking about it. Why not? Everyone wants to see the fight. Why not? And as far as Tyson Fury goes, I think that Tyson Fury I don't even pay attention to Tyson Fury anymore. I just don't. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the last time I saw him fight, and now you talk about boring, I thought it was pretty boring myself when he fought Klitschko. But as far as Anthony Joshua goes, you know, someone sent me a clip on how he's preparing for his fight, or how he was preparing for his fight, where he lived, and his living.
Oh, that was me.
Who sent that to me?
That was me.
Okay, you know what? I have a lot of respect for him. I really do. He is, you know, he's not all flashy, none of that. He just needs the basics to train. Doesn't need a whole lot of people around him. You know, what is the word? Very humble and I don't want to say thrifty is another word I'm looking for. But you know what? I have to say I like Anthony Joshua a lot better than I did maybe 2 fights ago. I like him because even though he knows that fight's going to be tough, he goes in there and he gives it his all. And, you know, you can't take that away from him. I really appreciate boxers who go in there, fight, and give it their all. And just because they lose doesn't mean that they're a loser. That's the way I look at it. And I've gained a lot of respect for Anthony Joshua. I really would like to see him fight Deontay Wilder. And I don't know if Wilder would win that fight.
Go to you, Bo. Your thoughts on Joshua's stoppage win over Takam, as well as the developments outside the ring with the Fury and the Parker negotiation, Wilder out there, of course. That's the fight that most folks want. The future for Anthony Joshua, what do you see?
The fight was stopped early, but if you watch that fight, the ref was looking to stop that fight anyway. Remember
you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. Remember when Takam had the cuts over his eye? The ref, even when there was no blood in his eye, kept taking Takam back to look at the doctor. And I'm like, why you keep taking him back to look at the doctor? Ain't no blood in his eye. So he wanted to stop that fight. And even when he stopped the fight, if you watch the punch that he jumped in on, it was a right hand that hit the shoulder and slid off the top of the head. And he slips the other 2 punches. That's the part that gets me is he literally slipped the other 2 punches. Now, he didn't wobble. He didn't stagger. He did nothing to give the indication that he was hurt. And listen, these fighters sacrifice time with their families, money in training camp and all of these things. They deserve the right, if they can keep fighting, to keep fighting. It would have been different if he had staggered. It would have been different if he was accepted hurt. I know people say, well, he was getting beaten on the scorecards anyway, which is funny because they showed the scorecards, which were 12-round scorecards in a 10-round stoppage fight, which told me, okay, you guys already had this planned out. But the bottom line still is, regardless of if he was ahead, this man still earned the right to go 12 rounds. And who knows what would have happened.
That's right.
In those next rounds, because Joshua, in my opinion, looked it like he started to tire. That's why he was fighting in spurts. Now, people say it was the head bump and his nose was swollen or whatever it was. But I still think he was too big at 254. And I say this, if he comes in that heavy against Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, that's advantage Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
Because Anthony Joshua at 254, he's slow. He does not move. Like if you watch, some of the punches he was throwing were arm punches. That's why he threw a couple right hands that missed very badly, because they were arm punches. He wasn't stepping into the punch. Even with his jab, as you saw as the fight went on, he wasn't even stepping into the jab. So he was throwing arm punches because he was too heavy. He couldn't move. So to me, that's the advantage Deontay Wilder. Now, if he comes in at 235, like when he fought Charles Martin, that's big advantage Anthony Joshua, because he won't be as heavy and he'll be quicker. He'll be quicker. Not as quick as Wilder, but quicker than what he was at 254.
That's a good point.
Right, and his energy will probably be up more because he's not carrying all the extra bulk. So,
that's right.
So that's the thing. But the stoppage also says something to me, and that is Anthony Joshua has now become a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer a fighter. He is now Anthony Joshua is what Sugar Ray Leonard was back in the early '80s. That's what Anthony Joshua is becoming. He's becoming, you know. Remember, Sugar Ray had the great smile with his Aaron Pryor ducking ass. Remember when Sugar Ray Leonard had?
Here we go. Here we go.
Remember when Sugar Ray?
I like Aaron Pryor. Now cut it out.
Remember when Sugar Ray Leonard had the great smile and everybody gravitated towards him and everything like that? That's what Anthony Joshua kind of reminds me of. He's the heavyweight version of Sugar Ray Leonard. When that camera's on, he puts that smile on. He put that charisma on. He puts that charm on.
But you know what, Bo? I saw where, and I don't like to bring anybody else's name in, and I won't. But I saw where someone had done a video of him in Mayweather's gym. He was there for like a week or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was just as laid back as any boxer I've
he is. Listen.
He's very laid back.
Listen. Joshua fans and Wilder fans can make you, fanatics. Let me say that. Joshua fanatics and Wilder fanatics can make you not like either one of these fighters. There's no, like, Pacquiao fanatics, Golovkin fanatics can make you not really like the fighter. Because the fighter themselves, like you said, like Deontay Wilder, he's a really down-to-earth guy, like Anthony Joshua. But it's interesting you say about the Joseph Parker, because I feel like if they offered Joseph Parker money that was so... See, this is why I say it's hard for me to believe Eddie Hearns. Now, supposedly, like you're saying, Joseph Parker got offered, I guess, chump change, but I'm supposed to believe you offered Wilder $4 million. So what did you offer Joseph Parker to make him laugh at it? And because if you're really serious, you offer him some close to Wilder. But I also think this is a chance for Wilder's and them team to jump in there, offer Joseph Parker the moon to get that fight with him. Because with Tyson Fury coming back, and I said this, you'll see Fury versus AJ before you see AJ versus Wilder, because in the eyes of lots of people in the UK, Fury is still considered the man because he beat Klitschko first. He beat Klitschko when Klitschko was the linear champion.
Yeah, but Klitschko, honestly, and during that fight, I didn't think Klitschko was in great shape. Now, he was in good shape for Anthony Joshua, but I don't think he was in good shape for what's his name?
Yeah, but see, Adrien, in the UK, Klitschko was gone for 2 years, and they never let that man die. He tweeted. They talked about the tweet.
Oh, okay.
Mentioned Joshua's name. They talked about him. He taunted with coming back. They talked about him coming back. Well, his cousin fought, and he was there. They talked about him. So this is a fight in the UK that will make double the amount of money. You can fill up 100,000 stadium with this fight because Fury is looked at as by a lot of UK people as, listen, kind of like Evander Holyfield when he became the champion. They told him, you got to beat Mike Tyson before we recognize you as the champion.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know what, Bo? I mean, really, do a lot of people over there in the UK? Well, I guess they do. Believe that Tyson. When I see Tyson Fury, I just see a big guy who's a big guy who really has no boxing abilities to me.
No, you're looking at the wrong. Tyson Fury is.
Then I am, because when I saw him fight Klitschko, I was thinking to myself, what is all the brouhaha about this guy? This guy is just huge.
No,
he has no style whatsoever.
He has some good skill, and he's very athletic for a man of his size.
What kind of skills does he have, please?
Oh, Tyson Fury got a very good. Tyson Fury got a very good jab. He has good movement for a big man. He can he slides instead of steps.
Okay.
He feints. For a big man, he feints very well, which is why Vladimir was scared to let his hands go. He feints very, very well for a big man.
Well, can you recommend a fight that I can watch to see these particular qualities that he has? Because I
think he fought USS Terry Cummins. He got knocked down.
Cunningham.
Well,
that's what I said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he fought
Cunningham.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't think that was the fight where he uppercutted himself.
No, that's not. But that's the one he got knocked down though.
But
he got knocked down.
But he went timber in that one.
Yeah, he did.
He showed the skill set that could make you think, okay, he could be a champion.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with it when it comes to the UK is, like I said, financially. Like I said, when I said it before, financially, there's no incentive for Joshua to leave the UK.
No, there isn't.
No
No,
incentive.
there isn't. You're right.
Financially.
Because
but as far as recognition goes,
even for this to be a big money fight with Wilder has to go to the UK.
And that's the thing, Wilder's willing to go.
Well,
So there's really no roadblock there.
Oh, so Wilder is willing to go.
Yeah.
He's willing to go anywhere as long as it's a fight. He went to the UK before. He was on his way to Russia when Povetkin popped.
Right, I remember that. And he tested dirty. So yeah, I remember that. But I don't know. I'm gonna watch the Cunningham fight for sure because I have not been impressed with him at all. And again, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, or and I change my mind, I'll come back and tell you guys next week.
But the point is, though, the UK fan base is what has kept Tyson Fury alive during these 2 years he's been in hiatus. So, because they do want to see him face Joshua because they feel if Joshua beats Fury, he is legitimately the champion in their opinion. And like I said, remember when Evander Holyfield, people was telling him, "You're not the champion until you beat Tyson."
Right.
That's how he felt about that. Yeah.
Let's move on to some other news here. Off again, on again. Discussions about a Mikey Garcia, Jorge Linares bout. I'll go to you, Daniel, specifically. What's the update on that, and what's holding up that potential showdown at 135?
Well, if you follow the back and forth, obviously Golden Boy has aired their grievances publicly. Eric Gomez has tweeted about Mikey's, pretty much tweeted out saying, "We are not letting you take any step of survival. You're fighting Linares next." And Mikey played it cool. Okay, we'll talk about it. They recently had a meeting, I think, over the last 24 hours. The meeting went well. The main holdup is probably going to be the TV rights. Since obviously Golden Boy's with HBO, and Mikey Garcia seems intent to fight on Showtime. So they might just wind up doing a bidding war over who gets the fight. Because unfortunately, as good as Mikey is, as popular as Mikey is, he right now doesn't have the leverage as far as the ability to tell Linares what to do. Especially when the only reason he got the belt that he has is because Linares was hurt. So that's a situation where I think they're going to make that fight happen. The only thing that could be a major holdup is what happened the first time. They tried to negotiate it the first time, but apparently Golden Boy wanted to put options on Mikey. And Richard Schaefer kind of said no to that.
That's good.
I'll go to you. What you mean? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Daniel. I thought you was finished.
No, the thing about it is, no, Mikey technically doesn't have a promoter.
Wait a minute. Oh, because you just answered my question. I was going to ask you who is promoting Mikey. You said that Richard Schaefer told him no.
Richard told him no. He's acting like a manager.
Oh, Richard Schaefer is to Mikey Garcia?
Yeah. Okay. He's acting more like a manager to anything, but he doesn't really have a promoter. So, but I think what Mikey wants is to have that freedom where he's not really locked down to a promoter.
Yeah.
So I understand why he said no. At the same time, though, Golden Boy is going to get you some fights at 135. And even at 140, you're going to get you some fights. So there's nothing hurting him from going there. Not to mention that there's probably a good chance he'll keep you a little bit more active. Which, luckily, in Mikey's case, there's not an issue when it comes to weight.
Right.
But I think those things are going to be ironed out because at the end of the day, Mikey wants to fight Linares. Linares wants to fight Mikey. And there's enough money on the table where Oscar and Richard can hold their noses up high for the moment and just let this thing go.
Yeah, Oscar's got some catching up to do. as far as the fights go. But that explains a lot then. I appreciate that, Daniel.
I want to go to you, What You Need, quickly. I don't know if I've heard you discuss the possibility of a Mikey Garcia, Jorge Linares fight here. I want your opinion outside the backroom dealing. I want your opinion right here now. Your thoughts on that potential matchup. Keys, who do you have favored?
Well, when it comes to the boxing of that fight, Mikey's going to be the guy who's favored because of not only the level of competition he's faced in his career, but also because he's going to have the size advantage going into that fight. He's definitely going to be the bigger guy. And he's textbook. He's really good. He pays attention to details. I think Linares is a good rangy fighter, but I don't really see him having a great inside game. No, Mikey beats Linares hands down.
Indeed.
I probably stop it, actually.
I can see that, but I just got a feeling that Linares is going to give this dude a hell of a fight, but we don't know for sure until they decide to.
Linares, I think Linares is good against fighters in that weight class because he has the experience over them. But when it comes to Mikey, he's not going to have the experience over Mikey. That's one. Two, Mikey's going to be bigger than him. I mean, the only thing that we have to worry about is Mikey going to be drained or something when he goes down to that weight. Other than that, Mikey's going to be the bigger guy. Mikey is definitely going to be the harder puncher. And Mikey, he's textbook. I mean, this dude he's well schooled. So I just don't see Linares. I just don't see Linares hanging with him. I just don't see it.
Kind of interconnected or indirectly connected here. The situation with Terry Flanagan. I had been hearing that there were discussions for a unification bout between Flanagan, current WBO lightweight champion, and the aforementioned Jorge Linares. Now we're hearing that Flanagan has decided to say no to that potential fight, and is moving up to 140 pounds. A lot of people see that, view that situation as Flanagan, who is not a favorite. A lot of people consider him the weakest of the lightweight champions. Look at that situation and see Flanagan, putting it out there. It's maybe a strong word. See Flanagan ducking and moving up to 240 pounds. I'll just ask anybody for anyone's comments here. Your thoughts on that situation with Flanagan apparently dropping out of a unification bout with Linares and deciding to move up to junior welterweight.
Mikey Garcia said it best. I don't know if y'all saw there was a video of what he called about Flanagan. He said it best. He is. Flanagan supposedly was going to fight for Dejo. That fell through. I think Dejo got hurt or something, but they announced that fight. Mikey wanted to fight him once before. That didn't happen. He made an announcement that, a deal is close to me fighting Jorge Linares. That didn't happen. Now you're going to 140. Well, let's be honest. The competition is not as stiff as it is at 135. And you might even get a title shot for one of the vacant belts that Terrence Crawford is leaving. So this was a business move by his team. Very low risk with high reward if he wins the title. Also, now I disagree with Daniel. I'm not gonna say Linares didn't want to fight Mikey. I think Golden Boy at that time didn't want to make that fight with Mikey only because they may have to deal with Heyman or whatever the case may be. But yeah, Mikey, I don't think Mikey should go into a multi-fight contract with Golden Boy only because he just left Top Rank for that reason right there. He wanted to be more free to have control of his own career. And it hasn't been a full year yet for him. And he's seeing some things, he got a big fight with a title shot with Z. Then he got Adrien Broner with a big fight. So I don't think he wants to do that just yet. But yeah, Flanagan is I hate to say it, man, but he started turning into a joke because he was the weak link. Once Jorge Linares beat Correa, he was the weak link. And I even respected Correa for even fighting Linares. But Flanagan was always the weak link. Everybody targeted Flanagan at one point. Verdejo, Mikey, Jorge, everybody was targeting Flanagan because he was the weak link. So now he's going up to 140, you know, and thank God, because now there's no hold up now.
Let me get started on this motherfucker. Oh.
No.
Terry fucking Flanagan. It should be noted that Terry Flanagan is not my favorite fighter in any sense of the word.
Whatever gave us that idea, Daniel, I wonder. I never would have guessed that you'd have told me.
But I'm like, you're that much of a punk that you're ducking Ray Beltran? Yeah. Are you that bitch made?
Yeah.
God damn it, Flanagan.
Yeah.
But I understand the business side of it. Yeah, you're gonna get the WBO, and we know, like in the UK, it's called the Warren Boxing Organization. So there's a good chance he'll get the vacant WBO shot. So it's not surprising. At the same time, though, making money, there's not a lot of money to be made that keeps you in the UK at 140. Because guess what? Your ass has to come now to the US. You may have to fight a Roscoe. You may have to fight a Miri Mom here. Because you didn't draw enough of a name in the UK. And people know you well enough where you've had a lot of fights that were pretty much the other guy won. I'm sorry, Peter Petrov beat the crap out of you. And you still escaped that. Now, I'll admit, it wasn't as grotesque as what Billy Ho did in the Akaba fight. But that hangs on Billy Ho forever. But yeah, I understand the business people, but come on. You're that much of a punk against Ray Beltran. Ray Beltran, who you probably can beat on skill.
I was gonna say, when's the last time Beltran fought?
No, he's fought last year. The only thing the trick is probably is because of Beltran's situation, his immigration situation, where he's still trying to get a green card.
Oh, okay.
So, and unfortunately, with the sentient Cheeto that's occupying the White House at the moment, there's very, very high risk of him not even being able to come back to the U.S. if he went to the UK to fight Terry Flanagan. But then again, that's on Frank Warren and Terry Flanagan to not make yourself enough of a name where you can travel outside of the UK and do well. Because if you're going to break it down in basic skills, Terry Flanagan has some. He does have a good jab. He does move pretty well. But it's all the fuckery in between that pretty much undoes any good that those skill set does. And now you're facing a situation where there's really no huge names in the UK at 140 that can keep you in the UK. So you're going to have to travel abroad. And ultimately, that's going to put you in the path of a Miri Mom. That's going to put you in the path of a Roscoe. That may put you in the path of Ndongo. So ultimately, get another belt. But how long are you going to keep it? And frankly, are you gonna go down the same road as Billy Joe Saunders, where as a champion and not involving a purse bid, you are traveling to the challenger's backyard?
One final bit of news here. The WBA, which has shown themselves to be problematic in the past, is up to their old tricks again.
Yeah.
In the news that broke today, and I think I may just give Bo the floor here. Let him
No,
rant.
wait a minute now. Whoa. What are you giving the Bo the floor for?
apparently, the WBA upcoming with the upcoming Rigondeaux Lomachenko bout.
Yeah, you might as well give him the floor on that one.
They said that in effect that if Rigondeaux wins, they are going to strip him of his WBA 122-pound belt. I know Bo is not happy about that.
Well, they're giving him 5 days to make up his mind if he's going to stay at that weight or if he's going to go back down.
Strip him of what? What?
Yeah, they're going to strip him of his belt, his title.
You can't strip. What the hell?
That's what we said.
I think I may let What You Need. Let What You Need give his word of that before I give the floor to Bo, because I don't know if he's English.
Hold on, wait a minute.
They not stripping Canelo of his belt.
Wait. Let me make a correction though.
Wait. No, I'm wrong. That's WBO.
No, wait. Yeah, let me make one correction. They're saying if he wins, he has 5 days to tell them if he's going to stay at 130 or go back to 122. However, if he loses, if Rigo loses to Lomachenko, the WBA is stripping him of his 122-pound belt, kicking him out of the rankings, and they're going to have Flores and Roman fight for it.
What the hell?
Yeah. I know, that's what I said too. I'm like,
man,
they really, are you kidding me?
They really in for Rigo, boy. These people just hate him, man. What the hell? That's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
That's
crazy.
I hope Rigo knocks out Lomachenko.
I do too. I hope he knocks him out. I hope I want him to win.
That's wrong.
So bad.
That's wrong. That's just wrong, man. Just wrong.
I mean, when I'm gonna go back to some history here, when Trinidad beat David Reed in 2000 to win the belt at 54, IBF, BA, and BC gave him, I believe, either a 30 or 60-day window to decide which. No, the WBA gave him a 30, either 30 or 60-day window to decide if he's gonna stay in the division at 54 or go back down to 147. But this is something else.
Sense. Yeah, this is ridiculous. This
is something else. I hadn't heard What You Need that upset. Do I need to give you some space to vent even more What You Need or what?
Well, that's not how you do it. He was the champion at the WBA at what is it, 118 level?
122.
122. So that's crazy, man. And if he loses the fight, he's still the champion. IBF. The other, I don't understand this. The IBF. Kell Brook fought Gennady Golovkin, didn't he? He lost, but he was still the IBF champion. That's just how it is. This has nothing to do with you went up a weight class. This has nothing to do with the weight class you're at. When Gennaro Hernandez fought Oscar De La Hoya, I don't know if he surrendered his title or whatever, the WBC title. Can't remember, but he was on. Well, I think he had to drop his belt to go up or something like that. I think it was.
What I don't understand is,
it's so crazy, man.
If he loses, how are you gonna strip the belt and give an opportunity to the guy who Rigo just beat?
I know
that guy was mandatory at the time that he beat him earlier this year.
What did they do? What did they do with Zab Judah when he lost to Carlos Baldomir? Was he stripped? But that was his weight class.
Yeah,
that was still welterweight. That was welterweight. So.
He lost. Yeah, he lost the belt.
But that's still a totally
let's
different. It's a totally different weight class. This is ridiculous. I mean, I can't.
I've never heard this in my 100 years, Bo. Yeah, I've never heard of this. This is ridiculous. It's almost as if they're actually giving him no options. There's no options there. Except and beat Lomachenko, which I hope to God he does. I really do.
I think he's going to beat him, but I don't know if they'll give him the decision.
I don't
think that's what's. I'm going to tell you something too, Michael. That's what bothers me, whether or not they're going to give him the decision. This is going to be in Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And you know, one of the things that Bo and I talked about is this. is that if he was so boring, why did those tickets sell out like they did that day?
Because they think he's going to lose.
They think Lomachenko is going to beat him. That's one of the reasons.
Yep. They trying to.
Well, I'll say like this: in that part of New York, there's a whole crap load of Ukrainians.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much guaranteeing that at least 85% of those people that are going to be in there are going to be Ukrainian.
Okay, well that's okay.
So essentially,
yeah, I agree. That's okay. I think what frustrates me so much is that the fact that the casuals are heard a lot more than those who are really into boxing, who've been into boxing for years and years and years. And for the way that they've done Rigo since he beat Donaire is really pathetic. And that's the only word I can think of. The way that they've talked him down. Here we got a guy he's a great boxer, great Cuban boxer, great technique, great defense. I don't understand why in the world would they put this man down. I guess because he beat Donaire. And they couldn't.
Oh no, I want to add this into it because I don't think we mentioned this enough. Is why are they doing this keyword again? Because remember, they pulled this fuck shit when both Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg ducked him.
Right, that's true.
Yep.
And only when Frampton decided to move up to featherweight and Quigg followed him to say, okay, we have to give it back to Rigo now. We kind of have no choice.
Yep. They blacklisted.
So now they're doing it. Yeah. So now they're doing it again. And it's even, like I said, it's even worse. Like, I didn't have a rooting interest in this fight. I just wanted to see a good fight between the two best amateur fighters of their generation.
Same here. Yeah.
They gave Lomachenko every single advantage in the book. He's got size advantage, everything. He's got everything, reach, everything. And on top of that, you're going to strip Rigo. Come on, man.
Essentially, they're saying is, okay, you lose, we taking everything away from you. Even if we win, even if you win, we're going to give you less than a week to decide on what you're going to do.
You know what that sounds like to me?
If we strip you, we're gonna double down. We're gonna double down on you even more by giving the guy you just beat an opportunity to fight for your belt.
Well, you know what it sounds like to me? Rigo speaks his mind. I think we can all agree on that. He says, what he wants to say. But I think that he pissed somebody off. That's just a fact. He has pissed someone off.
Bob Arum.
Yeah, that's all I need to know.
That cash cow, man.
Yeah.
Smash the cash cow.
Yeah, exactly.
And if he smashes Lomachenko and he does not stop that boy, they're gonna give Lomachenko and they're gonna do him in as much as they can. That's what they're gonna do.
I think Bo's been stewing over long enough.
I saw his name coming through my computer.
Yeah. I wish there was kind of a pissed off emoji. Steam coming through your head emoji. I'm gonna give him the floor now to raise holy hell. Give him all the time he needs to raise holy hell. So, Bo, the floor is yours.
Man. man. The World Bitch Association is at it again. So, in the history of boxing, you're telling me that you don't tell a guy, I mean, let's just think about this for a second. You're not telling him if you win, we're going to take the belt from you. No, you're telling him if you lose, fuck you, the hell with you. And then to add insult to injury, to show you how much we don't like you, show you how much we don't care about you, we're not only going to strip you, but we're going to strip you and let the dude who we know who as you could beat with no problem face another guy who we know as you could beat with no problem. We're going to let them fight for your title at 122. So You fight at 130, and the results of 130 determine what we're going to do at 122 for a totally different belt of a totally different organization. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we didn't tell you this before you signed with Logo. We told you this 1 month before you fight motherfucking Lomachenko. This is what we're going to do to you. And mainstream media seem to be okay with this. So this was Golovkin. Would they still be okay? This is Lomachenko. Would they be okay? If this is Anthony Joshua, would you still be? Would this anybody that you motherfuckers love? Would y'all be this okay? I mean, because this was mentioned in passing. This had to come from an interview with Rigo on ESPN Deportes, to where they didn't even have the fucking balls to translate the shit and put it on the English side for us to see it. No. Figure the shit out over here. Whatever. This is bullshit at its highest order. But the WBA, the World Bitch Association, has been, and let me give everybody the warning. This is my beautiful thing about almost approaching 50 or being over 50 is I could get a I don't give a fuck moment. And this is what this is right now. If you're offended, I don't give a fuck. If you get mad at me, I don't give a fuck. Because this is wrong at the highest level. At the highest level. You're telling Kovalev loses to Ward, he gets another title shot. Crawford is being put in a mandatory position. Adrien Broner got his ass beat at 147, get the title shot at 140. Mariaga gets whooped at 126, get the title shot at 130. But you, who are our champion, we're telling the champion, listen to this, we're telling the champion that if you lose at a weight division, 2 divisions up by another organization, we're no longer making you our champion at a weight division that's 2 weight divisions below. And then if you win, by the way, if you win, don't try to party too hard because you only got 5 days to tell her what the fuck you're going to do. I want anybody holding a WBA title to take it and Lennox Lewis that belt, but spit on it and throw that motherfucker in the garbage can. Because this is bullshit at its highest. The WBA has told Daniel Jacobs, you got to fight Golovkin because we consolidating the belt. He fight Golovkin, and what did they do? They brought the belt back out for Murata, for Endom and the other guy. Okay?
That's true.
They've been fucking, I mean, we're still waiting to see who the hell Frez or Kendo gonna fight for that WBA Super. Then you took your belt, the WBA belt, and instead of doing like the WBO did, had number 1 fight number 2, you put your belt that didn't have a champion in a unification match with Anthony Joshua. Oh, yeah, by the way, there's a guy named Luis Ortiz when he was the WBA interim champion, and Usmanov didn't want to take the drug test. You stripped Ortiz for not fighting Usmanov, who didn't want to take a drug test. So the WBA has been on bullshit, but this takes the fucking cake. If I was not raised the way I was raised, if I didn't love this country, I would become a domestic terrorist and blow that goddamn building to the fucking ground. This is bullshit at the highest order, and you only doing it to a guy because you know you can do it and won't nobody say shit about it. Won't nobody say nothing about it.
They're trying to blackball this dude like the NFL's blackball happening.
But I think Rigo should just stay focused and play his game plan.
He stays focused,
make sure the fans see that he get the win on Lomachenko. He don't got to knock him out.
But
just gotta make him.
With that though is this: if he wins, either way it go, this is a bad scenario for Rigo. If Rigo wins, nobody fights him, especially if he looks impressive.
Doesn't matter. It's about the W. You know?
I know that, but no one will fight him. So his career basically will be over if he wins. And if he loses, they damn sure not gonna fight him if he loses because they'll use that excuse. Okay, he lost. I no longer have to worry about it.
There, so it's better he win. So
but this is ridiculous.
But they put him in a situation where even if he wins, he loses.
He loses.
Right. That's what I said.
Well, technically, because you see how I see it is, if it depends on how he beats Lomachenko. If he beats Lomachenko like he you know, Rigo got some pop, eh? If he beats Lomachenko, and I mean, you get 12 rounds of a beating. You get a clear beating, like what he did to Donaire.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fight him, but you guess what? He has the rep. He will keep the reputation. But if he loses to Donaire, whether they rob him or whatever, then now he still will have some kind of rep by a certain community. But at the end of the day, you can't really say, well, they look what the system's doing to him because you can't Loma beat him. You know what I mean? So it's good that he beats Loma. And I hope he sort of does his game and he lets Loma feel the pain for all that they're doing to him in that ring. Because it's gonna be mono and mono. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know.
I see what you're saying, but for the WBA to even be ballsy enough to do something like, I mean, think
That's why I say they're trying to blackball him like the NFL doing
Right.
because look, it's the system, it's the powers that be that's doing this. Just like the powers that be that, just like the way that Kaepernick pissed off the powers that be within the NFL to the point that he's not in the league anymore.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The nice thing about boxing.
Let me finish, Rigo. Let me finish what you need. The point here is that someone within the ranks of the WBA is so pissed off that they're trying to screw out
Right.
Rigo. Even
That's
if
what I'm
It's not the
saying.
WBA though.
even if he
It's not
wins,
the WBA. It's the long arm of Bob Arum. Bob Arum's the one trying to screw him out.
but it's the
So he
same.
can get
Yeah, but Bob Arum can't make that kind of ruling either.
But it's the same
No,
power
but he got
dynamic.
connections. He got connections.
It's the same power.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's the same power dynamic involved.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that he's trying to make it so that he can get as much advantage, psychological advantage for his fighter Lomachenko. You know, that's all he's trying to do. But at the end of the day,
it's the same power dynamic involved, because just like you can say what Bob Arum is doing vis-a-vis Rigo, don't think that certain cretin in the White House doesn't have any pull when it comes to these NFL owners vis-a-vis Kaepernick.
Oh my
That's why I say it's the same structure and the same power dynamic involved. It's the same thing.
Yeah, seven of the owners donated to his campaign.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you what. You know what? This is to show you what you guys talking about of how good that power thing is. There has been a conscious effort by the media to not talk about why Kaepernick is really taking the knee. They're making it about the anthem. It has nothing to do with the anthem.
And just like they're trying to change
the message is not getting out. And
Right.
that's the thing that's what's going on here with the WB and Rigo.
Exactly.
The media is making sure that message really don't get out like that.
No,
my point is this.
That message is getting out now.
My point
It's getting out. It's not only getting out to the NFL, it's getting out to the NBA. It's getting out.
But to Bo's point,
my point is this though. There's a little.
Where's Dan Rayfield talking about this?
My point is this. The difference between Kaepernick and Rigo is this. Rigo still gets the opportunity to go into that ring, mono a mono. Bob Arum can't fight for Lomachenko.
Right.
All those sanctioning buddies can't fight for him. He got to go in there and do what he do, and let's see what happens. So that's one thing he got. That advantage he has. He has to focus on what he has to do. He can't be focused on all them other things. That could be dealt with after he finished winning the fight.
Right.
So that's the whole point. And if he gets distracted by all of this stuff, well, then that's his problem. Then
I don't think he will. If anyone gets distracted because they are not prepared for it, would be Lomachenko. I don't think Lomachenko has a really good idea who he's up against. And I think a lot of fighters who fought Rigo had no idea who they were up against until they got in that ring with him.
Well, we'll see. You know, fight night, we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see. But to Bo's point, this stinks on ice. The WBA has been out of pocket in the past, but this is a new level, even for them, because and again, and I'm gonna keep saying this to Bo's points about the media narrative. Where is Dan Rayfield? Where is the national boxing media, where are they at tweeting about this? Where are they at
They're
reporting?
not going to tweet about it because they were the ones who were in there talking about how boring he was. They're not going to tweet about that.
I do think Rayfield mentioned it. I'll give him that. I think he did mention it.
But how in depth?
I haven't seen
did
it.
he go?
Yeah, I need to see it. I haven't checked his stuff any today, so he may have done something today. But to Adrian's point, how far did he go into this? Is it just one tweet?
No, I think he just did it like a straight news report. I think
Okay.
It wasn't an opinion piece.
Yeah, but you know the problem I have is that they never do an in-depth report about Rigo. They never do. They'll go to every other boxer and talk to every other boxer, their trainer, everything. They really go into it. And when is the last time you've actually seen a story or even prior to a fight, anything about Rigo? His record, background, all of that. You don't get it.
Not since the
They'll tell you everything about Lomachenko, but they're not going to really go into Rigo's background. Although I have to give Max Kellerman his props. He did when he fought Donaire. He talked about his amateur background, which was good. He has an excellent amateur background, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know what to say about this. This is just blowing me away.
Well, when it comes to that area, yeah, a lot of people are not going to mention it. I don't expect Rock Nation to try. Hell, Rock Nation's right now being beaten like a piñata because...
And you know what? That's the problem. He needs a good promoter to promote him. And that should have been done 3-4 years ago.
Well, the one promoter that he had, he got mad that he killed the cash cow. And unfortunately, this is actually one of the bad parts about being a Miami Cuban.
Okay.
That community,
I know about that.
Is very, very, very closed off.
Yes.
And it's almost impossible to let other people in. Unless you, A, live in that city, and B, show that you live by their politics.
Right. Right.
And unfortunately, that's one of the major firewalls that prevents something like a Golden Boy from trying to get in Rigo and promoting him, because Oscar de la Hoya is not as right-wing as the Cubans are.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
Yeah. There's that aspect. But then there's this other aspect when it comes to it, where when it comes to Rock Nation, is, like I said, they're being beaten like a piñata right now because it's come out that one of their fighters, that I forgot the guy's name, but he never said no to an opponent. He always fought, had a pretty bad fight, had brain damage, was been 114 days, counting today, and not one word from Rock Nation about this guy.
Really?
Nothing about medical bills, nothing.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that place, I don't know if somebody can get hold of Mr. Shawn Carter, but yeah, that's your name on that, Mr. Shawn Carter.
Yeah, I heard you right too. I heard that story too. Boxer got they haven't.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think from what I report, they haven't even paid they haven't even offered to help with some of his medical bills.
For those who are
Nothing.
unaware, could we at least mention this guy's name?
Yeah, I remember reading this story.
That's right. The name pops off of my head, but every day he's in the picture, like today, 114 days, not one word from Rock Nation. That's bad.
That is bad.
That's significantly bad. That's something where somebody should actually get a hold of Jay-Z and say, this has your name on it, sir. This is brain damage that somebody is suffering. And your name's on this. I know, yes, you launched this just as a way to get back at Al Heyman because of what he tried to do to your wife. But
what? That I haven't heard, but go ahead.
Okay, well, if you want to know, if you want to know how Rock Nation actually got started, like I said, this is just a way for Jay. Well, if you could just tell the way they run. Jay-Z made this because it continues his beef with Al Heyman that he has since the music industry, because Al Heyman, along with Beyonce's dad, tried to rob Beyonce blind.
Oh, really? I know Al Heyman did a lot of concerts back in the day, but I didn't know he would even. I didn't even know he was still around it. Well, yeah, I guess I could say that. In the 90s or so, Beyonce was coming out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beyonce, I think Beyonce sued Al Heyman and her dad in 2011 because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Franco is the name of the boxer.
Yep.
Daniel Franco.
Think about that, folks. 114 days, not one word from your promoter about medical bills.
Nothing.
Not even a get well soon card.
Did this guy take a fight at the last minute or something?
No, the way he mentioned it, he would put up a card. I never turned down the fight. Always train. Always made sure I was ready. And this is what you could do to me.
Okay, because I just saw a story on someone. Yeah. Okay.
And with everything happening in CTE, and we all know what the payment that the New York State Athletic Commission had to give out to Magomed's family after their fuck up. And with Rock Nation technically being a New York company.
Oh boy, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is gonna raise some eyebrows, because the one thing that's luckily part of Jay-Z when it comes to boxing is that it's still not covered that highly in New York. But let this get on New York Daily News. Let this get on the New York Post. PR nightmare for Jay-Z.
Wow.
It could get on social media, and it could be a PR nightmare for him. Doesn't have to be in the papers.
Oh no, it'll be on the papers, because then guess what? Because unfortunately, this gets talked about even more with the ruling of the New York State Athletic Commission, a very powerful organization within New York.
Yeah,
and we know that they still have some dates that Rock Nation probably has pending with the New York State Athletic Commission.
Man, these boxers get done in so badly, man.
They do. They do. They really do. And it takes a lot to hang in there, just to get past the BS.
Crazy, man. They asked him to take down the post, and they said contact him in 72 hours. And like 7 days went by, and nobody contacted him. I don't know if they even contact him now. That's tough.
Nope.
I'm looking at it.
That's why I put it in today.
From an old story from Boxing News and Views from 5 days ago, talking about this issue with Daniel Franco. I hadn't seen any real update.
That's why Floyd used to say they don't care about you. If you get hurt or injured, they don't care about your health. They don't care about you.
No, well, he's right in a certain sense. If they're competent. Rock Nation's not even competent. That's the whole point.
Well, then that's on the New York Athletic Commission.
Which is why I say, let this get on, let this get on New York Daily News. Let this get on the Post, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Because New York State Athletic Commission, they read the papers.
But who really?
But the only problem with that is,
fighters don't. I don't think boxers have insurance, right?
No. One of the things, and this is one of the main worries that people had, and this is why we haven't had a lot of house or local promoters promoting fights in New York for a while.
Mm-hmm.
New York was the last state that had MMA banned, and it's not even because of how dangerous MMA is. It's simply because of the fact that it's a proxy fight between the people who used to own the UFC and a culinary union.
Right, the union. They have a union.
Yeah, Yeah, they a culinary union. So it's a union that still has a lot of sway here in New York State. So they were able to still keep MMA banned.
Okay.
Right. But the
Now, what they wind up doing,
boxers don't have a union though.
no, boxers don't. But this is what happened. As a poison pill, because every single year there was always this push to get MMA legalized in New York State. And it always got stopped by this. But eventually, I think the union either got weaker or people realized that the people that were owning those hotels are no longer going to own the UFC. So that loosened up enough people where they could vote on MMA legalization here. What wound up happening is there was a poison pill put into the bill that said you have to have an insurance bond on your fight card for all your fighters of $1 million per fighter.
Nice.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Well, but you know what? They have to have $1 million. It reminds me of in my job. It's just that you have to have it on paper that you have insurance for $1 million.
Because it's a high risk job. It's a high risk job. So yeah.
Yeah, but they actually have to show that they actually have the collateral to back it up. Here.
Yeah.
You mean the insurance company did?
The insurance
for
the
fight.
The risk for the fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The promoters have to show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the promoters have to show that they have the collateral to pay that bond.
Yeah, they can purchase, or they can purchase the insurance for $1 million. Doesn't mean that they have to have $1 million on hand.
Well, no, they have to prove that they can cover it, no matter what. The total for the card. Yeah, so think about that. One of the Joe Smith's promoters called Star Boxing here. They always used to do house shows, and it's a theater, the Paramount Theater out here in Huntington. They don't do that much anymore because with this law and with fight cards technically normally being like, what, 6 to 8 fights long, house cards? No matter how.
Something like that.
Yeah, they have to prove then, let's say if it's a 12-round card, you have to prove to the New York State Athletic Commission that you have
6 to 8 million
assets. No, that you have 24 million.
That's right, because it's 2 fighters.
Yeah, that you have 24 million on hand to cover that.
But that's just an insurance policy.
Yeah.
That's like a contractor, When I hire contractors, they have to have $1 million in insurance. Well, they got to go out and get that policy. It doesn't mean they have to give me $1 million up front.
No, the state's making them show you, like, no, you better have that money
prior to the fight.
They have to show that they have the liquid solvency to actually pay it.
Okay.
Which is why. Sorry, before I go to this, it's one of the reasons why there hasn't been a lot of insurance plans in the state that have developed to market those bonds because obviously a lot of local promoters don't have that money.
I guess they don't. Yeah.
Let's move on and talk about start to set the show down by previewing fights that's happening this weekend on Showtime at Barclays in Brooklyn. Deontay Wilder, who we mentioned earlier while discussing Anthony Joshua, he's fighting his rematch with Bermane Stiverne. Shawn Porter is fighting Adrien Granados on the undercard. Let's go to the Wilder Stiverne rematch. I'll go to you both since it's been a while since we heard from you. Look, the mandatory bout that I feel should have took place a while ago just to get out the way. It's finally happening. Now there's only a couple of days away. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. As soon as I heard that Bermane Stiverne was the mandatory, even if no network would have picked it up, they should have had to fight. Even if it meant you was going to lose money on it, should have had to fight, got it out the way, and we probably could have had the Ortiz fight earlier, and he wouldn't have popped, or whatever the case may be. But there was an opportunity that Wilder had while Joshua was stagnant, waiting on Klitschko. He had an opportunity to, get hot, and he missed out on that by letting this linger with his team and missed out by letting this linger so long. I mean, think about it. He could have been false to Vern, and maybe he could have made an offer to Joseph Parker and been unified right now. So, but I'm edging Wilder only because Bermane Stiverne is 38 years old. He's been out of the ring for 2 years. The last guy he fought was Derek Rossi. So it necessarily wasn't a person to test your skills on. Man, Bermane Stiverne he's always been a slow starter. So now but now you're 2 years older, and you haven't fought in 2 years, and you're a slow starter. That doesn't necessarily spell the recipe for success, in my opinion. So I'm only edging Wilder because of that. I'm also edging Wilder because now Bermane Stiverne claimed he was dehydrated. I personally feel, I don't know how a heavyweight can be dehydrated, but okay, if you say he was, he's never been known to be a liar, fine. Now you're not dehydrated. Wilder has been seething at the teeth. He's upset because he wants to prove himself. So I just think Wilder just has the edge in this. So I like Wilder in this fight. And Shawn Porter, Adrien Granados, I think that fight could steal the show. I think that could be the best fight on the card. That could steal the show. These are two come-forward fighters. You got to hit Shawn Porter with the goddamn kitchen sink. And Granados is a, Chicago guy. I got to roll with the home team here. Chicago cat. This Chicago versus Ohio, So Granados, good guy here, tough. He brings it, has decent, good boxing skills. So that should be a very interesting fight. You have two come-forward fighters. So I'm actually looking forward more to the undercard than I am the main event.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go to you what you need. As Bo mentioned, it's been 2 years since Stiverne has last fought. Based on what we saw the first time these two got in the ring back in January 2015, I believe it was, do you see anything changing from first fight to the rematch? I personally don't. Given the long layoff, given the age, your thoughts?
I think Wilder will drop him at least this time. He did drop him in the last fight, but he hung on. He's gonna get a bad beating. Stiverne's gonna get beat up bad, and if not, stopped. Okay, so that's what I think. And with the Granados versus
Porter,
the Granados versus Porter, that's Porter's fight to win because he's the bigger guy. Granados, if you look at him, once he fights at welterweight, he really is not. He's not as good as if his thing. He's at Porter's. His goal is to try and stop Granados. That would be a good statement for him. I mean, Granados is not the elite of the elite, but he's skilled. So I expect Granados, though, has a lot of different tools in his arsenal. He can do various things. So I don't know if he'll stop Granados. I don't know if Granados is a guy who he keeps the fights close. He's always in there. He's been dropped a couple times, usually early in the fight, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's hurt. So that could really fool Shawn Porter into going in there. Porter is tough. He's a pit bull. He also is not looking to get hit as much. So he's got his fight plan there. He studied Granados and he has a fight plan for him. But I want to see I'm kind of curious about this fight, to be honest with you, because Granados can do some things in there on the offense where he uses bobbing and weaving and some really clever nuances that remind me a little bit of a fighter at super welterweight named Carlos Molina. Carlos Molina, when Carlos Molina was actually performing and doing things well. He's another Chicago-based fighter, even though he's from Mexico. Before he went to Mexico, and then he was just washed out. And so I want to see what Granados is going to do here, because Granados is not really a true welterweight. He's really a junior welterweight. So I want to see how Granados actually handles this, what kind of angles he puts in there to be able to handle Shawn Porter in there. I'm just very curious, what Granados can bring to the table. I don't expect him to win. I expect Porter to win, but you just never know. I would like to see that fight. That's an interesting fight for me.
Because Granados is because Porter is a physically stronger man. as he is in most bouts. I think to beat Shawn Porter, you have to really box, have skill to evade the strength and whatnot. Granados is tough, and I'm going to you, Adrien, but I just don't know from a technical standpoint why he may do some good things offensively. That's coming forward. That's the wrong style to fight
Porter.
a bull like Shawn Porter. So
yeah.
No,
and I don't think
he's from Chicago. He's from Chicago. From Chicago.
Granados got skill. Granados got skill, and he fights in the pocket really nice. He could take a shot in the pocket too.
I got the name, the number world champion that came from this city.
But my problem is he's a mid-range in fighter. I think to fight Porter, you have to be mid-range out and be able to side and angle step with this guy.
You're right.
But Granados does that too.
You got to move on Porter. You can't stay. You can't stay still.
He doesn't do that enough.
But he changes up the angle. He changes up the angle. Remember.
But the problem is when he gets hit, he wants to fight. You can't do that against this guy.
Yeah, but he fights smart. He fights smart though.
You hit him a couple times. He wants to fight. He doesn't have the discipline to be in boxing technical mode for 12 rounds. And that's going to be his undoing in this fight. And I don't think he has the discipline to do that for all 12 rounds to get this guy. Plus, I don't think he has enough strength and physical power to keep him off.
I don't think he's a Jesse Vargas, though. I don't think he's a Jesse Vargas.
How is he going to evade some of the subtle things that Porter does inside?
Or not so subtle. Not so subtle with the roundhouse punches.
Subtle himself. He gonna change the angle on him. He's gonna offset the angle so Porter can't get that leverage he wants.
Not enough. When Porter's in there, he does some tricky things in there, including holding one arm.
Yeah.
He's gonna do some holding and some pulling where he's not gonna allow Granados.
Granados just got to change levels. He just got to change levels and get under him, and that's it. Change levels, get under him, pivot, and then work the body shots in there. Every time Porter throws one, you slip, you counter, boom.
Porter's too good at cutting off the ring.
He's excellent at cutting off the ring.
He bully you.
Well, that's what he does. He bullies you.
Right. So when you change levels, when you go under a bully, you remember the bully got to get under you to push you up. You understand?
Right.
If you roll under him, he can't push you back. You got the what do you call it? The fulcrum. You got the the place where you can turn, on.
To pivot.
Yeah. You get the advantage because if he wants to go low and be small, you just be smaller. You meet him down there.
Well, Porter, not only when he comes in throwing punches,
reckless,
but
sometimes reckless. Yeah.
He's all up in your chest.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but he's not going to be.
Let him get up on you like that.
But he's not going to be up in your chest if you drop with him.
Okay.
So he got to go from low to high. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And Granados knows how to do that.
But you have to have the subsequent strength to do that. That's the difference between.
No. If I get below you, you ain't pushing me back. It's football.
But the problem is, Kell Brook was doing this. Kell Brook did it, but he had the physical. But let me finish. But he also had the physical strength to keep him back and hold him back. When other fighters do that with Porter, they try to keep him back, but they can't hold him back because they don't have the strength to keep him off.
They're not Granados. Granados is like Porter. He's an ambush fighter. He would be boxing you on the outside with a jab, and then he comes on the inside. Porter's the same kind of fighter. So they understand each other. So it's going to be now jostling for position. Remember, in boxing, it's position over power and strength. It's going to be a jostle for position in that fight. Porter's supposed to be an inside fighter too. That's what you're forgetting, right? So just what Granados do, he'd be boxing you on the outside, boxing it, and he just explode and get to the inside. He go low to high and catch you with a shot. So that's what Porter does too. So it's kind of similar styles, but it's going to be who's more clever in there.
But Porter is low-key clever, and because he's shorter, he's going to have the greater leverage. You said go to low to high, right? He can't get to the low. He can't get lower than Porter, and because of that, Porter's going to have the greater leverage. You're going to keep that greater leverage.
And Porter stays low throughout the entire fight.
Granados, he does, like as I said before, he to me, he hasn't shown the discipline to do that all fight long for 12 rounds. Not against this caliber fighter.
Yeah. Porter's a hard one to fight. He's a very awkward boxer, and like
remember, both guys fought Adrien Broner as well. And if you think about it, now Adrien Broner had his moments with Granados. You know, Porter more roughed him up. I mean, Broner did drop Porter because Porter lapsed. But the point is, Granados still handled Broner, I thought, in a much more comprehensive way. I argue that Granados beat Broner, but that's another story for another day. The point is that if you look at their styles, the reason Granados could hang with Broner, and even make it competitive was because he does what Shawn Porter does. But again, there's the nuance in it that sometimes people miss. I'm not saying that Porter will not look the sharper boxer between the two when fight night comes, but in terms of strategy and skill and what Granados does in there, those little movements, those little pivot movements, I'm telling you, man, it's not as easy as Porter thinks it's going to be. He's not like the other boxers. You'll see.
We will see.
I'll
We
be
will see.
looking for that pivoting too.
And I just want to see how Granados will act when Porter adjusts to those pivots, and when Porter's able to use his feet, if he's able to use his feet and his subtle movement, because Porter doesn't just move forward; he moves side to side, and his feet is quicker than people give him credit for. He's an athlete. Remember, he's an athlete.
Yeah, he'll box you on the outside.
Yeah, but you know what? He's also a headbutter too. You got to be careful with that.
He bucks you from the outside and he explode with leaping left hooks, and he explode with the jab. Off the jab, he just explode to the inside. That's what Porter do.
I'm saying he's an athlete. He's able to get there because of his feet and because of his athleticism quicker than people think. And I just want to see how Granados adjusts to that, because he hasn't faced anybody like that. He just hasn't.
You mean Porter hasn't?
No, I'm saying Granados hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Granados hasn't.
All right.
I know. I agree with you on that, but just saying that I think it's more than just athleticism. You got to have boxing knowledge. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that Granados.
I'm saying with Porter, it's not either. It's both and. It's both and.
But I'm just saying that with Granados, he gonna give Porter some looks and stuff. Porter not going to just be able to bully him. Porter's counting on knocking him down and hurting him, and then working the body and stopping him. And he's going to find out it's much harder than it looks with Granados. And there's a reason why he's such a tough competition for a lot of people. This is not Andre Berto where you got free shot on a guy. That's all I'm saying.
That was easy work. I don't count that. I don't even count that. So I don't even count that. Don't put that in there. You Berto shot. Everybody knows it.
And Paulie was an old guy. I'm just saying.
I don't count that either. I don't count that either. So
we've seen Thurman beat him, and we've seen Kelbrook beat him, right? I'm just saying.
You're right. I'm just wondering if Granados is on that level. I question whether he's on that level.
From Chicago.
And what you want for that? A cookie or donut?
Of course he on that level.
them Chicago boys know boxing.
You from Chicago? Of course he on that level.
I'm just saying. I just doubt whether he's on that level. You have to.
I doubt a Porter on that level. Who'd he beat for that title? Paulie? That's who he beat? Paulie? And then his first defense was Brook, and he lost. What has he done since then? He beat a Broner?
No, he didn't beat Paulie. He beat
who did he beat for that belt?
The kid that Amir Khan beat.
Okay, but my point is somebody who was what? What was he? Nothing. That's who he beat for that belt.
No, he beat Maidana.
He fights, but no. What I'm saying is he's fighting guys he can bully. The guy he couldn't bully in Kell Brooks got in that ass, and you can't bully Granados. He's from Chicago. He bred tough. So you ain't bullying this dude. All right.
You're gonna get. It's about the knowledge of boxing and position. That's what I'm trying to explain. But you'll see what I'm talking about.
And if Granados loses, I ain't coming on the show.
He might lose though. Granados might lose.
No, Granados. Listen, he might lose because, like I said, you got to hit Shawn Porter with the kitchen sink. Shawn Porter, is you talking about a guy that played football at 168. Got down to think about the enormous amount of focus it takes to play football at 168 boxing amateurs at 160 and get yourself down to 147 for the amateur, for the pros.
Impressive.
That's an enormous amount. That's very impressive. So Shawn Porter is one of those guys. He's always ready. He's tough. He's coming to fight. So
he's really fit. He's real fit.
I think, conditioning isn't going. Both these guys are well conditioned. It's going to come down to who's going to be able to implement their game plan better. And if I just look at it from an athletic standpoint, Shawn Porter athletically has a better chance to implement his game plan better than Adrien Granados. But Granados, because he can't be, I don't think Shawn Porter can bully and push him around, will have flashes, but will that be enough against Porter?
And I think he has. I think he has underrated defense. Granados has a very good defense.
If we were talking 140 pounds, I could halfway see your point, but not at this weight.
That's true. He is pretty big, but I'm just saying. I see Porter winning. I don't see him really stopping Granados, but if he stops him, great, good for him.
Your thoughts
I just
on
don't
this,
see it
Daniel,
though.
because we've been going back and forth competitive banter here. Your thoughts on this, Daniel?
Well, I'll start with Porter Granados. It's a fight that's very interesting because it's two guys that are very much alike. It's two guys that fight coming forward, that if you hit them, they will hit back. And two guys that really just want to be active in the ring, that have unfortunately suffered lulls of inactivity. And it's going to be an interesting fight because both these guys are pretty hungry to do it. Porter wants to keep himself, like I said, active enough while he waits for Keith Thurman to honor the mandatory he has. And Granados, he knows he wants a shot because he knows he probably can now get a title at 140 with Bud gone. But, the money is at 147. It's going to be interesting to see because Granados does have a little bit of a good inside game from what I've seen in the fights that he's seen well. And that could work to his advantage when Porter tries to smother you in the ring. At the same time, though, that strength part worries me. I know what Bo's trying to say, and what he's trying to say, get under it, but that's a huge, probably gap in strength that Porter has over Granados, just simply because of the fact of, like I said, the dude's pretty much started at super middleweight. He reduced himself to welterweight, while still maintaining that strength. So to me, it's going to be an interesting fight. I do expect the fight to probably be the fight of the night. So that's probably going to be a fun day. Now, as far as the main event, well, let me go with the first fight, because apparently tonight the WBC decided to do some funny business and now put the Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina preliminary fight on this card to be a WBC title eliminator. Meaning that either Eric Molina or Dominic Brazil will become Deontay Wilder's next mandatory challenger.
Jacob, you must don't want us to get off the podcast tonight. What you
I mean, why? Two guys that Anthony Joshua beat up. The winner of that is going to get a title shot?
Well, from a storyline standpoint, I get Brazil.
Didn't Wilder beat Eric?
Wilder beat the living crap out of Molina as a voluntary.
This is like a throwback.
He'll do that again as a mandatory.
This is like these rematches from throwback days where you beat a fighter and then you just fight him again to beat him up again. I just don't get it, man. This is making no sense.
What I don't get is you got number 7 fighting number 11 to determine who's the mandatory. Now, I am on record as saying this. Deontay Wilder does not have to fight Dillian Whyte for you to tell me that that's the fight he need to get to Joshua. I've always said that that's some BS. You can't tell me in order for him to get to Joshua, he need Dillian Whyte. But I would rather you tell me Brazzelli and Dillian Whyte than for you to tell me Brazzelli and Eric Molina, when you also have Wash who's fighting. I believe that guy Maurice Wash is fighting somebody.
Big Baby Miller.
Miller to also determine a position with the WBC. The fuck is going on? But number 7 versus number 11 is bullshit.
Yeah, that's one of those things. And quite frankly, like I said, to me, it probably should be more Brazil because it's more personal. You can make it really personal between Brazil and Wilder for obvious reasons. But for the main event, look, of course, Stiverne wants to claim that he's hydrated. That's the claim that he's had since he lost the fight. And unfortunately, yes, you're going to be dehydrated when you spend most of training camp partying with Floyd in the clubs and you spend the last 3 weeks just trying to reduce yourself from 290 pounds. That's what caused you to be dehydrated, partying with Floyd all night. I don't know if you're going to have the same issues, but I'm sorry, when Derek Rossi can knock you down, there's going to be some issues. And Deontay Wilder, yes, it's not the same fighter that you faced when you were the champion and lost the belt. Like it or not, folks, Deontay Wilder has improved as a fighter since then. He's added things to his repertoire.
Yeah, he has.
He doesn't always show it.
What the fuck is he added to? What proving what?
He added a pretty decent left hook. He's added a pretty decent right uppercut.
Oh, you mean his windmill's better at an angle instead of wildly?
There you
go. No. He has gotten better. You remember I told you I just didn't have
Deontay Wilder has gotten better or Stiverne has gotten better?
Wilder.
The WBC weave in my hair, Alabama barely speaking champion Deontay Wilder. That Deontay Wilder y'all talking about?
Yeah.
He's gotten better since
that he was before.
Yes, he's added things to it. He hasn't unfortunately put it together all in one fight. And that's one of the most legitimate criticisms you can have on Deontay Wilder.
Well, the other criticism was he was just waiting to knock his guy out with a right hand.
That's it. And I've always said Deontay Wilder, okay, he looks to land that big right hand. Now, hey, I've always felt he has the skills because I seen it when he fought Chris Arreola when he broke his right hand. But I can't say he's gotten better. Gerald Washington was whooping his ass. Are you kidding me? He hasn't gotten up. He hasn't gotten better.
He's gotten better than what he was, Bo.
He just unfortunately he hasn't put it together enough where you can say it's consistent.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, there's a
I'm not a big Wilder. I wasn't completely sold on Wilder before, but I tell you, I have noticed that he's gotten better than what he was when everyone started taking notice. That I have.
Yeah, like
You was going to say something?
Yeah, like he's added.
I was just going to say that I thought he actually adapted to Gerald Washington as the fight went on, and he did some body shots to Gerald Washington, and he was always mentally showing Gerald Washington he was the stronger, more conditioned fighter. He would lift him off of the ground when he tried to do the clinch and that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying.
Well, the one criticism you'll always can throw at Deontay Wilder, and it's criticism that a lot of fighters have, is he does fight to the level of his competition.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's something you can't do when it comes to the fighters that he's faced. Now, I'll point out again, a lot of the fighters that he's faced, considering the situation that he's put himself in the mandatory, are not his fault.
No. I think I can tell you.
They're not.
I would just say that his knockout power, the right hand and all of that stuff. I mean, Duhaupas is a strong guy, and he did stop him. But people took his power. I mean, Stiverne, okay, he did knock him down in the first fight, but Stiverne took his power and so on. So his if he's just counting on the right hand for power and that kind of thing, I'm not saying he doesn't have power in his hand, but people can take his power. I'm just saying.
No, no, you're supposed to take his power as your level of competition steps up. That's the natural progression of things. Now, with this fight, he doesn't even have to do that. He's proven that he can outbox Stiverne with just staying in the jab, throwing a straight right hand through the guard, and he has been quick enough to avoid the catch and shoot scenarios that Stiverne likes to get at you with. The problem is, like I said, Stiverne can claim all he wants about, I was dehydrated, I wasn't focused. That was 2 years ago.
Nothing in that fight.
Yeah. And that was 2 years ago. Guess what? You're 2 years older. And like I said, and the last fight you had was against Derek Rossi, and Derek Rossi knocked you down. So you expect that Deontay Wilder, who has a chip on his shoulder with all the crap that's been thrown at him over the past 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, I think he's going to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a fight that's going to go the distance, because the difference is Deontay has an actual goal now. Like, the goal in 2015 was just, okay, to get the belt. He did it.
You mean he's got something
now the goal
to prove?
Yeah, he needs what he needs to prove is, and it's something that a lot of people, casuals, and especially people on the US side, like Bo actually eloquently put it in. He has to prove himself to be a worthy challenger to Anthony Joshua, and not just be a quote unquote belt holder that Joshua has to face to claim the belt.
Now, I'll agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I would like to see him face somebody of note. I know that sounds terrible because he did face Stiverne, but he faced Stiverne before, so I didn't want to see that again.
I don't want to see that again either. I mean, that was all Stiverne did was hold his gloves up to his face the whole fight
and get punched in the face.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. Like, he tried catch and shoot, but Wilder showed enough like upper body movement to avoid it.
And he's too long for Stiverne. He's too long. He's too rangy. He's too everything. It was just easy work.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, unfortunately.
He had a tougher time with Eric Molina than he had with Stiverne, I thought.
Yeah.
He technically had a tougher time with Duapas than he did with Stiverne.
Yes, Duapas didn't want to go.
Because Duapas put up pretty stiff competition. But that's one of the points about it is his goal is to be the face of the heavyweight division. Because normally in the US, when you have an American heavyweight champion, people pay attention to you. But we've now grown up with an entire generation not knowing a dominant American heavyweight champion. Because, when Ali showed how bad his Parkinson's got, a lot of parents took their kids out of boxing gyms and just put them in football fields.
Which was probably worse.
Because they thought, okay, they're going to put pads and helmets, they're going to protect them, not realizing that from Pee Wee football onto the NFL, they were training to use those safety equipment as weapons instead. Which is pretty much caused a problem. And now you're starting to see things in reverse where, let's try the boxing gym, because at least the boxing gym, if he gets hurt, they actually let him rest. Instead of just putting him out there next week. So everything's going back in a circle. But like I said, we've had
Yeah, but you know what? The boxing rules and regulations are a lot stricter too than they used to be. They're a lot stricter, for sure. And that's because a lot of boxers were getting hurt.
Like I said, that's the main reason why 15-round fights don't exist anymore.
Right, exactly.
I don't think I got Adrian's thoughts on not just the Wilder Stiverne fight, but especially the Porter Granados fight. So I want her thoughts on those fights before we close things down.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think first of all, Granados is going to have to definitely try to keep Porter at bay. If he can't move, if he can't stick and move, he's in trouble. Because Porter comes at you, not only is he coming at you down like he is, but he's got that strength and he smothers you. He is very good at smothering you, making it impossible for you to get a punch off. So you have to keep him in the middle of the ring. Just like Keith
Brooke?
Kelbrook.
No, Keith.
Oh, Keith Thurman?
Keith Thurman moved that whole fight. He had to. Because if he stopped and Porter got in the corner,
he used pivots on him.
And he pivoted. And you know, I noticed that a lot of boxers did not used to pivot. I know Ali did, but now they're beginning to do that. And one of the main boxers who does that, I'm trying to think if it's Errol or if it's God, who is it? Well, of course Mayweather did it, but I'm thinking it's Keith Thurman who knows how to pivot off the ropes like that. And that's what you got to do when you fight Porter. If you stand still at any time, I'm telling you, that boy's like a bulldozer. He comes at you like a football.
He quick.
Oh,
real quick.
God. And
boy's quick.
His punches are coming from everywhere. Everywhere. So you got to be aware of that. But I'm going to give it to Porter. I don't know. Adrien, there's a possibility that I don't know. Porter's just a hard person to beat. If you fight his fight, if you don't fight his fight, if you box him, you have a chance. But if you go in there and want to brawl with Porter, you're not going to win the fight.
I think we're going to start to shut things down. On that note, going to go around the panel here. Ladies first, starting with you, Adrien, for folks who want to talk to Sweet Science or anything else. Let the folks know where they can hit you.
I'm going to give you one address because if I give you my Instagram, Bo is going to start laughing again uncontrollably. So I'm going to give you my Facebook page, which is ADRIENNE Yoshino. It's YOSHINO.
Which means you should have started Kershaw. No, you didn't.
Go to what you need for folks who want to talk to Sweet Science or anything else. Let the people know where they can hit you up.
You can just hit me up on YouTube, what you need. And I just want to throw in, if Kubrat Pulev gets well, maybe he could face Deontay Wilder or maybe Dillian Whyte or maybe Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora is the name in boxing. Why didn't he get it?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's just saying.
That's a good point. Good point.
I'm not letting go of the fact that he showed that he was scared of Joshua.
Who, Chisora?
Who's that, Chisora?
Pulev. I thought you said Pulev.
Yeah, Pulev too. I mean, somebody. Just somebody.
Fighting Kendo for the WBA regular title.
Oh, he's fighting somebody? He's fighting somebody?
Kendo and them team reached out to Pulev to possibly make a fight early 2018 for the WBA title.
See,
wow,
the WBA on it BS. See,
well, and we in defense of the WBA, they're kind of forced into it. They're kind of forced into it by a U.S. judge, so they kind of owe it to Oquendo. They've been trying to give it to him, but everybody keeps fucking up. Like Mr. Shannon Briggs, pop dirty.
Shannon Briggs did?
Yep.
Yeah. I have a question. Maybe someone can give me the answer. And that is, just real quick, Michael, what happened with Bob Arum, Jeff Horn, and Bud Crawford.
Oh, wait a minute. Could you repeat the question?
Okay. I understand that Jeff Horn is going to be fighting Terrence. I call him Bud Crawford, and some kind of way they finagled that. Whereas Bud thought he was going to be fighting someone else, and they wind up putting him in with Crawford. You know they're going to be fighting, right? Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn's not fighting Bud.
Who's fighting?
Horn is going to
fighting some Australian guy.
Yeah, he's fighting him in December. From what I understand, Bud may be in attendance, but they're not fighting each other next. No.
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 Nope.
Okay, good. I mean, I read something about that. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, good. Thank you, guys.
But nah, they're not fighting each other next. But no, Jeff Horn is making a voluntary defense in December. I'll go to you, Daniel, for folks who want to talk to specifically the mic.
You got cut off there a little bit, Mike. But yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me.
No, I think in the middle of somebody shouting goal and something like that.
I was listening to somebody on celebrating the Astros. They just beat the Dodgers. So I'll mute that. I'll go again.
Oh man. First of all, on that news, my condolences to Jacob. We know he's California, LA based. So unfortunately, yeah, condolences to you, man. But
I'll repeat again for folks who want to talk the sweet science. For those who want to talk the NBA specifically, the Miami Heat, let the people know where they can hit you up.
Yes, you can find me, folks, on Twitter, Ruckus99. You can find my work at the Inscriber magazine. You can also find us at the podcast on 4boxingnews.com with my good friend George Francis on 4Boxing News, who are really good people, and definitely probably going to be on next Sunday, recapping what's happening in the sport and just trying to follow up with all the craziness that's been happening at the end of the year.
Both from Truth and Facts about boxing for people who want to hit you up and talk boxing or follow the hilarious adventures with you and your daughter. Let the people know where they can find you.
Now you can find me at Truth and Facts About Boxing. You can also find me or follow me on Instagram at Truth_FactBox1. Same thing with Twitter, capital T for Truth_FactBox1. I'll find right here on Pound for Pound. Shout out to Gail, shout out to Gus, shout out to Scorsese, and shout out to I'm missing somebody, man. Who am I missing?
Jacob, like I said, I'm sending this condolences to his Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't want to say his name. He's bad luck, man. He went to a fight, and the fighter, he wore the shirt, and the fighter got his ass whooped. Now I'm trying not to say his name, man. He might jinx me on the fight, man. Don't let none of that man, dude. Let me wipe my shoulder. Bad luck rub off on me, shit. But shout out to Jacob, and you like to see family right here, Pound for Pound. Also, shout out to my boys at the Movement, 2K Prodigy of Boxing, Big Cool Colossal Boxing, Twine Divine Liberty, Hoop Jab, my partner in Crown Bernard. Shout out to Adrien at ABR the Bull. Shout out to Adrien for being on the show. And man, just always great to be here. This is one of my favorite things to do is come on here and talk. Different people with different opinions. Everybody is strong-minded, but this is good, deep boxing history, and that's what you get when everybody knows their sport and they're just trying to talk. So, man, this has been another great day.
Indeed. For those who wanted to talk the sweet science or talk music or talk fitness or anything else in between with me, you know what it is. Brother JR on Twitter at Brother JR76. As I stated to begin the show, if you want to check out all things Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the blog page is the place to go to, P4P Boxing Report .wordpress.com. Check the rather page. You'll find links to pages and channels on G+, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Also links to where to check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Player FM, Stitcher Radio, as well as Mixcloud. And I don't say this enough, but check us out on iTunes. Write a review on iTunes, particularly a 5-star review. If you do, good chance it'll get read on the show. So yeah, hit us up on iTunes, hit us up on SoundCloud, especially. And I've been teasing this fitness challenge for a while. It's official. I got the app started. Begin my get ready, get fit, get ready, get right challenge for this coming holiday starting this November 13th. It's going to be 2 weeks right in time to get yourself right for Thanksgiving. If you want any information or if you want to be part of a challenge, it's going to be fun, challenging, but fun. Just hit me up on Pound for Pound. Hit me up via DM on Pound for Pound. That is at P4P Boxing Report. You can hit me up on my own personal Twitter. At Brother JR76, or you can hit me up on Instagram at Brother JR SC. Next episode, Pound for Pound Box Report, we would do a recap of Wilder Stiverne rematch. We would do a recap of Shawn Porter and Granados. We may talk about a couple of fights that's taking place overseas, namely a rematch between Jamie McDonnell and Librorio Solis for the Bantamweight title. Rematch of that, highly controversial bout. Many people felt that Librorio beat Jamie McDonnell the first time out. We will recap those fights. We will also do a preview of Bertabi. He's going to be fight. He will fight for the vacant IBF light heavyweight belt, fighting a guy by the name of Coling on ESPN in Fresno. Daniel Jacobs is making his return to the ring in Uniondale, New York, fighting a guy by the name of Arias. Big Baby Miller is going to be fighting Marius Wash on the undercard, and a couple other fights. I think that's it. Yeah, and we also I got to mention, we mentioned Luis Nery early in the show. He's going to be fighting this weekend, so we may do a recap of that fight as well. But anyway, for Adrien, ADR the Bull, for what you need from Truth and Facts, from Daniel, from the Inscriber. I'm your host, Michael. This has been episode 188 of Pound for Pound Box Report. Everybody have a good evening. Good night.
You too. Thank you.
West Side, Granados.